Greetings and welcome, Life Gainers. It's your host, Lamont Tyson. And on today's series of learning what's in the community of Greensboro to help benefit from resources, it has brought me here to the city assistant manager, Mr. Chris Wilson. He's going to give us some insight on all the wonderful things he's doing for the city and what it was that drove a passion for him to serve the Greensboro community. Mr. Wilson?
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. I'm doing great.
Well, thank you for coming and just talking to us. And you've been here, I've done my homework on you for about 20 years. You don't look a day past 32, by the way.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
But what created this desire to serve the city the way you've done, considering some of the turmoil that has been going on in the economy, oppressing cities such as Greensboro?
Well, I will tell you a little bit of a personal story. Growing up, our family faced some challenges financially.
Yes, sir.
We went from being okay to not okay kind of quick. My father left at a very early age, and that it resulted in us being very creative. Some of the best experiences of my life, I say it's character building. We had a very strong mother who demonstrated a lot of leadership. But one of the experiences that I encountered was going to a facility that we had been a part of. And I won't name the facility,
yes,
but it's here in Greensboro. We had been part of a facility. And when he left, my father left, instantaneously we were no longer members.
Yes, sir.
And so we went back to this facility. At this point, we're trying to find free things to do. Because again, we were having to be creative, and we were told we couldn't come in.
Ooh.
So my mom, being the person that she was, almost instantly tried to find a solution, and sort of brokered the opportunity. We couldn't go in the building, and we couldn't do certain things, but they said we could go play in the yard.
Yes, sir.
So there were a couple of things I got out of that, and she set a great example for us. One thing was make the best of any circumstance. And at the end of the day, even the simplest of things, so when we offer parks and we offer recreation centers, those shouldn't be taken for granted. Those are great things. The other side of that is I didn't like the feeling that just because of our situation and where we were financially, that I no longer had access to a service. That bothered me greatly. Now, as life would have it, fast forward many years later, that facility became a public facility.
Oh.
It was taken over by the city and the county, respectively, and I got a job there.
Oh, wow.
I ended up getting a job there, and it was my motivation to make sure that everyone that came to that facility had a great experience and had access.
Wow.
And that facility went from having less than 100,000 visits a year to over 800,000 visits a year. By the time I left, I had a wonderful team that was very driven by the same passion. But the idea is that everybody should have access to those things that provide quality of life.
Yes, sir.
And that drove me to have a passion for serving others in the community. And there were many other experiences along the way that sort of helped shape that mindset for me. But that's what brought me to the table. And I'm not originally from Greensboro. Now, I've been in Greensboro for many, many years.
Yes, sir.
So I'm adopted at this point. But I'm originally from Asheboro, which is a much smaller community. Mm-hmm. For us to get to move here and be part of this community was an honor and a privilege.
Yes, sir.
The opportunities that Greensboro has, the experiences, just there's so much here that we saw and we thought, wow, how great is this place? Yeah. We didn't have some of the things that Greensboro has in Asheboro. Asheboro is a fine community, but it's a much smaller community.
Yes,
so getting here was a privilege. So the day that I got to work for the city of Greensboro was the happiest day of my life. And it was indeed an honor and a privilege for me to be here. Becoming part of this community, I fell in love with it almost instantly. Working for the city for 20 plus years, I worked in every neighborhood in Greensboro.
Everyone?
Everyone. And I can tell you that the people that I encounter, the relationships that I develop in working with others, It helps me, every day I get up and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to roll. I want to make good things happen. I want to help the community. I get to see that end result. I'm very fortunate in the sense that in many roles, sometimes you don't get to see that end result. If I met you 20 years ago, I remember you. If I met you yesterday, I remember you. But my goal is always the same. What is it I can do to help you and help you in terms of being part of this community? Mm-hmm. And when that interaction happens, what happens on the other side of it is so rewarding to get to see that, to know that you've contributed in some way, that it's motivation beyond motivation.
Absolutely.
And so that is, in essence, my passion. I'm not confused about what my intent is here in life. I know exactly where I need to be and what I need to be doing. And I know that every day my focus needs to be getting up and understanding that I can help others in the community. Mm-hmm. And it's that simple. In answer to your question, that's kind of where it comes from, and that's the motivation every day. I've been fortunate during that time to work multiple jobs in many roles in our organization.
Yes, sir.
As a matter of fact, the staff here love to hear my stories because they're under the impression I've worked almost every job. And I have. I've worked many, not every job, but I've worked many different jobs and gained some valuable insight into what the city does and what they can do. Right. So having that experience coming up to now the manager's office, I bring those things with me to get a better understanding of how we can connect things to give you great experience, the help you need, whatever it is that as a community we need to support. So being here in this office, very fortunate. The role that I currently play in the manager's office as an assistant city manager, I work with what's called community services.
Yes, sir.
Which lines up very perfectly with my passion. That is libraries, mm-hmm. That is parks and recreation, that's workforce development, which is our job placement, job readiness element, and then also neighborhood services, which is the assistance in housing and code enforcement, some of those things that very important to our community. That is a daily and very important piece of what we do in our community. So those are the pieces that form community services, and what we call that is our one-touch concept, because over those 20 plus years, most of the communities I went to, I heard some of the same things over and over again. Chris, can you help us with things for our kids to do?
Right.
My son or my daughter needs help with their homework. They also need a job this summer. I myself am looking to try to get back in the workforce or get a job. How can I get ready for an interview? Can you help me? I'm having trouble with my landlord. It's hard for me to get a job when I'm always hassling with this piece. So I kept hearing these things over and over again, and I wish I could take credit for the brainchild of community services. I can't. It's great leadership here in the manager's office. But what I will say to you is all those things together, imagine going into a neighborhood meeting and saying, we're here to help.
Yeah.
And I'm going to help you with your kids. I'm going to help you with your job search. I'm going to help you with your housing situation, and we're going to help. And while we're here, tell us what's going on, and we're going to get started. So, very fortunate to be here. Very fortunate to know, how I can be part of the community.
What have been under the circumstances that Greensboro and North Carolina have faced as a whole in the last 5 years? What have been your biggest barriers to reaching greater levels of success with the participants here in Greensboro, North Carolina?
Well, I think, the easy answer that you probably would hear a lot is economy, and that is certainly valid. I think it goes deeper than that, though, not just the economy, but also, you've got to look at each individual and what their circumstances are. So the economy can impact the level of business that exists, the jobs that are available. We're facing some challenges around not just income, but also food access. Mm-hmm. So that is a driver. Beyond that, there are many challenges to everyday life, whether that be in Greensboro or anywhere. And that could be as simple as not understanding what's available to you.
Yes, sir.
One of the things that and that's why I love this show, one of the things that I know is a constant barrier is, all right, I understand, here's my situation, these are the things I need, but I don't know who to go to.
Exactly.
I don't know who provides that service. Frankly, that's reasonable to me. As a resident, if I didn't work in this office, I don't know that it would always be common for me to have that understanding. I probably wouldn't tune in to the local government channel, although we encourage people to.
Yeah.
I probably, a lot of people don't pick up a newspaper. Some people do, some people don't. A lot of it now is on your telephone or on the computer. But frankly, that's one of the biggest barriers I've faced.
Right.
Every public forum I've ever participated in,
yes, sir,
I'll ask everyone, how many of you know that the city does this? And I'll go down a list of things, and I've never had a crowd say, yeah, I knew all that. I think that is a piece too. I'll go back for a minute. So looking at the individual, I made some reference to challenges around things like food scarcity. And
yes,
I'll bring that up for a minute because that is a concern for us.
Absolutely. I saw the last data, and Guilford County has somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 18 designated food desert areas.
Exactly. And I get frustrated because I hear a lot of folks that want to help. There's a lot of passion out there. Greensboro is great to rally. The challenge is how to find the best way to help each other so that we have a sustainable model, that we don't deal with this again in 5 years. So I can go out tomorrow and I may be able to help participate in a food drive.
Yes, sir.
But what happens the week after that food's not there? And so one of the things that I will say that's a legitimate barrier is, let's take children for example. If my child does not have access to food, how well are they going to do in school that day?
Health and wellness is the foundation of life in general.
Exactly. And I know very well that having a healthy meal, or at least a good diet, helps that brain power,
Absolutely.
Helps us focus, helps us learn. So one of the things that I think about when I think about barriers and things that we try to do is, if we look at the child again, we start with how do we get them a meal, and then beyond that, we've got a great educational system, but it doesn't stop there. You can't leave everything to the schools, because when I get done with school, what do?
You go home.
Right.
Yeah.
Or maybe I go home.
Or you maybe go to an after-school center.
Exactly. Yeah. And so the city plays a very active role in character development as well. Very strong presence around youth services. Incredibly proud of our staff that do things associated with youth. They are constantly trying to find ways to provide things beyond the school day.
Yes, sir.
But also things that complement the school day. So in looking at barriers, I think the city's done a very good job of saying, okay, here is I went to a community meeting, here's what I heard. I understand that individual doesn't have the same set of circumstances as the person sitting next to him, but as a whole, we have some things that we can focus on. These should be our goals. How do we get there? Who do we work with? What great partners do we work with you and your agency to make sure that our children get what they need? And the answer to that is yes.
Absolutely.
And then beyond that, how do we make that last?
Gotcha.
How do we make it last? So the last barrier I would mention is great at problem solving. How do we make it sustainable?
Exactly.
Because I've been part of many, many initiatives over the years.
Yeah.
The most successful ones were thought out well, strategic, but had long-term vision.
Gotcha. And to just thank you for your time. I know how
Absolutely.
valuable it is. I'll go ahead and get you on that roller coaster ride down to get you out of this interview.
Sure.
But before we do that, there are just two last points that I think are very important. When you finally decide that you're ready to retire. And as young as you look, that could be 20, 30, 40 more years from now. What legacy would you like to have left for Greensboro when you decide to step away?
That's actually very easy for me to answer. I simply wanted to help. And I don't expect anyone to go, hey, way to go, Chris, or any of that. All I wanted to do was be able to help. And so we go back to the basic principle of everybody should have access and opportunity.
Absolutely.
Somewhere along the way, I got an opportunity and I grabbed it. Somewhere along the way, I had access, even when other doors were closed.
Yes, sir.
I want to help other people do that. So when I retire, and when I'd love to stay here, but when I look back, I want to be able to say, I remember, and I do this now because I meet a lot of folks that I met when they were this tall and now they're grown up. I remember when you were just young and you needed help, and we were able to get you what you needed so that now you're successful. Or that person that I met that came to me and said, you know what, I just need a little bit of assistance. And now they're working, they're in a home, they have what they need, and they got a good quality of life. I just want to make sure everybody has that. That's all. And if I get to do that with 5 people, 50 people, 500 people, 5,000 people, whatever it is, I'm helping make a difference, and that's all I would ask.
Gotcha.
It's just that I got the opportunity to help.
So for individuals that want to get to know Chris Wilson and what he does personally, how can those individuals reach out to you?
Simply put, we're always accessible here at the manager's office. 373-CITY is the number that's easy to get, and they can get you right to me. I will tell you that, certainly through my email, it's christian.wilson@greensboro-nc.gov. Email is an easy way to get me, but I am not hard to find, and many times if you'll check your itinerary for your community meeting, you'll see I'm on your schedule. And if I'm not and you want me to come by and talk about some of the things that you've heard about today, reach out. I'll come by.
Well, guys, you heard it right here from the Assistant City Manager of Greensboro, North Carolina. He's very tangible. He reached out to me over 13 months ago, and I called him back 8 months after that, and he remembered who I was. So everything he said, he has been doing it, and we're very appreciative, Mr. Wilson, for giving us this time.
I appreciate that.
And guys, don't forget to like that video, comment, subscribe, go out and get yourself a life game, and continue learning all the wonderful things Greensboro has to offer to help you enhance your quality of life.